I'll just call it LinkedIn chaos. I think it might be a little bit. There are a few things just to say first about why LinkedIn will and won't work for you, because I know a lot of people, they feel the question of, people say they got all their business on LinkedIn, but I can't seem to make that work. People have lots of followers. Do I need lots of followers? And you need to get the attention of decision makers or reach out to people, and it's just not actually working very well for people. Well, just to say at the beginning, when I normally hear these things, there are certain things I go look at to see about them in order to work out why and what's going on. And sometimes those people can compare what I'm saying to other people. And I'm like, yes, but that person's already got a massive following off of LinkedIn. They're already really well known in their industry. So someone like Anthony Robbins, Lewis Howes, big people like that, you'll actually find that they haven't taken care of their LinkedIn profile, but they're doing so much everywhere else that it doesn't actually matter. But when it comes to us as individuals getting going, getting known for that very first time, we actually really do need to make sure our LinkedIn profile is taken care of, because it is our shop window. And our shop window is not just buried down an alleyway, it's in a multitude of windows in an alleyway. Whereas, the people that we know really well, you could say effectively, they're the people out on the main high street. They've got the big, it's like Oxford Street, and they've got the big Primark store. They've got the big, whatever brands you want to come up with. That's the only one I can think of just then. They've got the big footfall, whereas we don't. We're down an alleyway and we're in a window, just a tiny little window. And what we need to do is get attention. And when we get attention, what can often happen is we lose it instantly, because we're just not interesting enough. We're not resonating with our target audience. And so there are certain things that we need to take care of on that baseline for everything else to work. Now, this comes down to being important when you are reaching out to connect with people, because the first thing they're going to do is say, well, who are you? I don't know how many of you send messages to people, to prospects that you don't know. Let me just see a raise of hands there, actually. You prospect people you don't know. And do you put in that message what you're doing and what you're about? Or do you just say hello, like a basic? Okay, this is really good, because what we don't want to do is obviously hit people over the head with our sales message immediately. So we actually need to be really gentle about it. What I find is when people send me a message and it's got multiple paragraphs in it pitching their business, not only does it break rapport, but it actually just completely turns me off, because I didn't connect with that person in order to be sold to. And I didn't know that that's what I wanted when I connected with them. So we do have to be gentle in that first message. But when people do get that first message from us, what they're going to do is they're kind of come and look at our LinkedIn profile. And the first thing they're going to notice is whether we've taken care with the LinkedIn profile or not. So that means, does it look like it's well formatted? Have you got capital letters in all the right places? Have you got paragraph breaks? Are you taking care to note that actually large chunks of text on the screen is actually hard to write, and breaking those paragraphs down? That's just like completely basic, and then obviously you've got your headline and you've got your background image. But the really key things that are so important is that a person can understand exactly what it is that you do. Because to them, you are a big distraction. You may have sent them a message, or you might have asked to connect with them, or they might have read something really interesting that you've posted on somebody else's content or one of your own posts. And they are clicking on your LinkedIn profile to see who you are. And they are thinking two things. Is this a good use of my time, or is it a distraction? Is this conversation relevant to me, or is it not? And if the answer is no to both of those questions, they will leave instantly. And all that effort getting them to your profile will mean absolutely nothing, because their instant first impression is, this is not relevant to me, I don't need this, and they're gone. And if they do look at it and they are an ideal prospect, do they know what step that you want them to take next? That's really important. You want to be drawing them into your world. So with that, what we need to do is we need to set context for the conversation we're having immediately. What is the purpose of this person being here? What is it that they're coming to learn about, and why? Set that context, because you've got 100% of your audience thinking of it of 100%. When you actually break that down to your ideal clients, it could come down to 2%. Now, 10% of them might actually fit your criteria or your category, or more than that if you've been really going after those ideal people. But actually, only 2% of them may be ready to have a conversation or ready to buy from you, which means for all of your effort and everything that you're doing, you've got a lot of people coming to your profile that are not your ideal client. But we know from networking, which LinkedIn is, it's the equivalent of what we're doing here today, networking. It's not about marketing. It's not about giving that sales pitch and copying off the tone and the words of your website, really. It's about building a relationship, and it's about building relationships with people who may know the people that you want to be introduced to. So with that, if you've got someone who is not in your ideal target audience, there's a big chance that they might know somebody who is your ideal target market. But unless they understand what you do, they're not going to be able to make a referral. And unless they understand how to identify that ideal prospect and the problem that they're struggling with, they're not going to have an inroad to a conversation with that person, and they're not going to be recommending you. So what we actually need to do is we need to speak to 100% of our audience. We need to educate a certain amount that has a person go, oh, I didn't know that about that issue. Nothing to do with me. And they move on. But they never forget that information. And that key piece of information, people love to sound intelligent at dinner parties and networking events. Oh, yes, I heard about that, apparently, and give out one little fact. And they go, oh, yes, and off the conversation goes. Be kind, give them that fact so that they've got something to start the conversation off with this person. And that fact will lodge in people's mind. And it will be that fact that will make them, say that piece of information to that person, but hopefully remember that you were the one that said it as well. So once that conversation gets off and going down the pathway that you just led them, they'll go, oh, you really must speak to Claire. She's brilliant at that. Because you're the one who told them that piece of information. And even if they don't remember your name, it doesn't matter, because actually what's happening is you've created awareness in people that there's a solution to this problem. So a lot of us, we are living with problems and we don't know there's a solution. We don't even know that there is a problem. We just think this is the way life is. This is normal. This is what we can expect. So they're just getting on with it. And what we want to do is bring people to an awareness that actually this is not just the way things are. You can actually fix this problem. So then you move a person from not knowing they have a problem to knowing they have a problem. And some people get stuck there. They just think, oh yeah, I do have a problem, but that's just the way life is. There's no solution. So we want to educate the person. Yes, there is a solution. And research actually shows that 87% of people who come to an awareness that they have a problem buy from the person who brought them to that awareness. So that being true, this is our ability to establish ourselves as the expert, the go-to expert in people's minds. So the opening of our LinkedIn profile really needs to create that piece of awareness. This is the situation. This is reality. I'm just trying to think of a point for one of you. I was thinking of you, Claire, but I might have the numbers off. Like 50% of people will have, actually Louise, sorry. 50% of people will have a heart attack in their whatever, and this is what's going on, like that real health pieces of information. It's like, whoa, that's shocking. I didn't know that. Okay. And then they might read on. And even if they don't read on, they remember that piece of information and they remember you. A lot of people will start the LinkedIn profile with, I do this and I do this. That's not going to get people's attention, because nobody cares about you until you become relevant to them. You want to speak in the first person, and you want to always have your prospect in mind. What is the problem that you solve? Do not go straight into, these are the benefits, this is how I help. You want to just be straight in there with, this is the problem that, create that awareness piece. And then obviously bring in, this is how I help, these are my credentials. And then a little bit about your passion and your why for doing it, because it really helps to resonate with people. And then one of the really key things is having that call to action. What is it you're asking people to do? When this piece is missing, and I've seen it missing on people I might want to buy from, I've gone to their profile, they've actually taken care of all the things I've said about there. And then it's like, oh, but what do I do next? How do I get in touch with you? How do you want me to get in touch with you? That can leave a person not quite sure what to do. So they might send a connection message and hope that you'll do the work for them on the other side when you reply. or they might send a connection message and actually say what they want, but they could be a little bit embarrassed that they might ask you to help them when actually you're a small business and they only help multi-million-pound businesses, and like, oh, sorry, yeah, that's not me. People can have all sorts of reasons for being a bit shy and not wanting to say it. So it's really important that you give something that makes it really obvious, who you work with, the type of people you work with, and you make it really clear that they can get in touch. You want to avoid saying like a 15-minute conversation, because there's no assessment in there. There's no structure in there. There's nothing that's going to lead the sales conversation. What you want to do is offer them some kind of audit, some kind of review, where they can get a diagnostic, a report on how well they're doing. Now, you can formalize that as a proper report and go further, but actually having a chat with somebody and saying, I'm going to give you this key reflection, this information on the other side, it really helps you to guide the conversation and lead the conversation. So you're not just having a chat, you get on the phone and you say, yep, so I said I was going to give you this LinkedIn profile assessment. This is what we're going to do in the next half an hour. And then you've got permission to ask all of your questions and also be really straightforward and blunt with your feedback on the other side, because they've asked for it. And they're happy to receive it. So there's things in the sales conversation that have to be structured correctly in order for that lead to turn into a sale. But there also has to be things on your LinkedIn profile and your content that actually says, come for this very structured conversation, which is appealing and intriguing to people, that they say, yes, I want to have that conversation with you. Then we move that back up the line as to why this person wants to have a conversation with you in the first place, those credentials. So normally when someone says, I'm doing all this posting, I'm getting, what have you, I'm doing all these things, but it's not turning into any business, the profile is usually the thing that's not working. And if they have taken care of all those things, it may just be that the profile just isn't summing up the problem that they solve well enough. Now, like I said, other influencers, they do get away with this really nicely. I'd love to get my hands on some of their profiles and write them, but they are literally a massive, well-known brand. That this one shop window for them, this little pane of glass in the shop window of LinkedIn, next to their Instagram, next to this, next to this, next to the big show they're constantly putting on, they literally can get away with not paying attention to it. And this is why I talk about the expert economy the way that I do, because advice for one does not match the other. Somebody like that, what the advice and strategies they follow will not necessarily be right for us when we're not intending to have a big shop on Oxford Street, for example. So this is really important, that we get really, really clear on getting that LinkedIn profile correct. And be really clear on the problem that we solve, so that we can spark referrals and also get those people to book into appointments straight off the LinkedIn profile. Now, that happens to me a lot. I often log into my diary and actually see I've got appointments in there with people that I have no idea where they've come from. I haven't spoken to them recently. They've just found their way into my diary and they turn out to be ideal prospects. Now, they could be from a word of mouth, but don't think that word of mouth is different to LinkedIn. It's actually exactly the same thing, because this is where all of the networking and conversation is happening. And also when you are reaching out to those decision makers, especially if they do get a lot of connection messages and a lot of other people selling your services, which I know for a few of you out there, you've said today that you're messaging people, but you're not sure how to really get the conversation going and get started. That is the piece that's really, really important. Your LinkedIn profile has to sum it up so perfectly that they go, that's why I need to speak to this person. This is why I need to connect with them and I need to follow their content, because they're a thought leader in this area. I really get on with their values. I like their credentials. I like what they're doing, what the problem is that they're standing for. I'd like this person in my network. And then, of course, when you are sharing content, they will be engaging with that content and seeing you as that trusted advisor, that thought leader, which should all move into being really open to having a conversation with you. So if you were to phone them up after 3 weeks after connecting with them and posting, and perhaps they've liked and commented on 3 or 4 of your items, you could phone them up and they would accept your call and actually be happy to hear from you, because they recognize your name and they're grateful that you've been in touch. So there are a number of things just there in the foundations of the profile and how that's structured that is going to work for you and make all of this happen. But it's not a case of just set the profile and leave it there. Once it is there, we need to be active and we need to be doing stuff. Just the difference between with LinkedIn, just so some of you are aware, and I know this will answer one person's question. Brenda, I think this will answer your question about why you don't get so much engagement on LinkedIn as you do on Facebook. Be really aware that Facebook is the equivalent of going to Center Parcs, where people are on a very posh holiday with their family, going to the swimming pools, going to the restaurants, and they are there to be social. They've got their dogs with them and they are having a good time. If you were to see your ideal prospect there and you'd approach them, you would probably just approach and go, oh, how funny, you're here at the same time as me. These are your children, these are my children. What have you been up to today? And you'd have a really relaxed, casual conversation, because it would be highly, highly inappropriate to say to that business leader, oh, did you look at that proposal I sent you? Oh, do you want to have a conversation? At what time should we have that conversation? They will be so annoyed with you because they're there with their kids and their dog and they're running around having fun. It's the last thing they want to talk about. That is Facebook. A lot of business leaders and decision leaders are only logging into Facebook in their spare time and they're there as themselves. They're not there with their business hat on and their job title. They're not their job title on Facebook. They are the mother, the husband, the wife. They're there to be very different. LinkedIn is like attending a networking event. So when you go to a networking event, you put your best clothes on, you show up, you shake hands, and your immediate question is, what do you do and how do you do it? You most certainly do not show up with your children and your dogs. So do not put, only occasionally, if it's relevant, put them onto your into your feed of content that you're putting out. Make sure it's relevant in some way to people getting to know you for a business purpose. But the way you would show up at a networking event is how you want to show up on LinkedIn. So Brenda, you specialize in, I think it was menopause and similar things like that. Now, Brenda said to me earlier on that she shares content on Facebook and people engage with it, but on LinkedIn, they don't. And you know what? The reason why they don't engage on LinkedIn, but you did hint that they were actually seeing it and appreciating it. They just weren't commenting and liking. The reason is because that's private information that as soon as they comment it or like it, now they're saying publicly, yeah, I have a problem with menopause, or I have they're revealing personal information about themselves that they don't want in their, another business leader they're trying to work with to actually know that about them. So there's a privacy level going on that acts very differently to when you're on Facebook. And that comment or like will actually show up in their feed that they've engaged with it. So this is why we don't always need to look at or worry about comments and likes. It's more about the impressions. So carry on doing exactly what you're doing, Brenda, but just appreciate that some of your stuff people won't actually engage with because they don't want to reveal themselves. Like if someone put up a post about unruly teenagers and how to teach them better and discipline them, a lot of people are just going to go, I need that, and they read it and go, oh, but they would never comment on it because they don't want to let on that that's going on in their household. Okay, so that's my little spiel. So what I'm going to do now is, if you put a question in the comments, I do now have to go read it. I was hoping to read it before. If you put a question in and you want your question answered, please use the LinkedIn facility to put your hand up. This will put you into the queue, which we will call on you for to get the question answered. And if someone's asking a question and you have a perspective on it that you would like to bring, raise your hand actually in person. Or actually, you could just use one of the other reactions, couldn't you? If you think you've got the answer and you would like to contribute the answer, then how about we use the ta-da button, the party button. If you'd like to contribute and give your opinion to this person of what you think, then please use this. I didn't know it was called the ta-da button, but it is the party button. Does everybody see that in the reactions? Does everybody know how to put their hands up? Brilliant. Okay, so you can either just put your hand up like this and I will see you, or you can put your party button up and I will call on you and we will join in. Okay, so Michael, I haven't asked a question yet. So if you're putting your hand up, that means you've got a question you want to ask. So raise your hand on LinkedIn for that, because that hand's going to stay up for a while and it'll put you in order as well. So I've only got John and Michael at the moment with their hands up, just so you know. So I'm going to read these through multitasking, and then I will pick on these ones as well. But John, do you want to kick off? Oh, and just to say, we've got John with us as well, who is actually like a fully fledged LinkedIn expert, John Keel. And he's got a workshop coming up soon that he'll tell you about at the end. But he's very, very qualified in all things LinkedIn, and I likely will defer to him quite a bit, I'm sure. But just so you know, if you've got something to add to someone else's story, it's probably a good idea to give a little bit of like background as to like how much you're using LinkedIn and any stories you might have of how things have worked for you. That'd be great too, just to hear how it's working for you. So John, ask your question.
Yeah, hi Naomi. I was just going to say that I have to go now, so my mum's got a hospital appointment. But I was listening to that presentation, and so many things were firing off about my profile and how I could enhance it. It was just absolutely brilliant, actually. So I just wanted to ask, are you going to have a recording available of that presentation or something?
I do, yeah. And also don't forget as well that you are all very welcome to book into a LinkedIn profile review using the link we just put into the chat as well. So come and book in for one of those if you haven't already.
That's brilliant.
But yeah, this
you're going to send us the
continue.
link. You're going to send us the link for the presentation today. You're going to send us, are you?
It will be in the circle community.
Circle community.
You've got sign in for, and you should get reminders from. But I know that you've got some questions here from earlier, so I'll try and, if we have time, I'll make sure I include them so you can listen to all of the questions when we get back. Okay, cool.
That's lovely. Thank you very much. I mean, really interesting people today. Really interesting. Yeah. So I've sent everybody connection requests. Thank you.
Brilliant. All right, Michael, do you want to share your question? Cannot hear you. You are muted.
Muted.
Muted still?
Yeah,
Michael?
sorry about that.
Okay.
What's happened on LinkedIn over the last year or two that, I mean, I've just been using it, but I haven't looked specifically for new developments, new ways of using it, etc. So would it be worthwhile, and if not, just say so, doing a summary of what are the latest things that have come up on LinkedIn and what we should be aware of and using or avoiding?
Good question. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll revert back to that one at the end, because I think that we'll see a lot of things, and I'm not sure what a year looks like now, because time just goes all together, doesn't it? So let's see what comes up, and then if there's any, that should answer a lot of the questions, and if not, then everyone else, if you think of something that's come up and new that it's good to share, everyone can contribute that at the end. I think that's probably, but it's a good question. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Cool. Tim Loss, what about you? Remember to unmute.
Unmute. Don't worry, I remember that from the last session we're in. So the question I had, and it was kind of back to when I went into the last session, but the key thing would be about dealing with the clients that we currently have and attracting the right sort of clients. And it's kind of like getting that balance of trying to get my directs on board, because they see LinkedIn, to quote, full of, and what was the wording you used? It was something like, you know, annoying wankers that want to go sell to me all the time, and they're like big senior directors, and I'm having to try and encourage them into using LinkedIn, but they are seeing it as I go on and I occasionally like a few posts and but they've got all the backing, and they've got the knowledge and the credibility behind them from their corporate background to really push an awful lot of traffic through, but they're unwilling to go and do it. So I'm the young gun at 40, 41, having to come in and try and encourage old dogs to teach them new tricks. And it's kind of like getting that balance of how do you teach an old dog new tricks in terms of key things that would trigger them to make them kind of go, yeah, actually, it's worth doing something about it.
It's a good question. I'm not sure how relevant it would be to everybody else here, because they don't have that problem. But I would probably just say on a really top level is sort your own messaging out and bring in the leads for them. And then as you start to demonstrate that, ask one of them if you could take over their account and do the same with them. So that is giving them confidence in what you're going to post on their profile, and then also what you're going to be saying in messages and what kind of content you're going to be posting. So they feel like there's no risk in you taking over the account and doing that. But for everybody here, like the question always is like, what is the outcome that you're going for? And the outcome you're going for is sales appointments, because without a sales appointment, you've got no chance of selling. So our outcome on LinkedIn is always to get sales appointments. Sales appointments with whom? Our ideal market. Who are they? We need to obviously work that out. But once we've worked that out, we can start using the search function to find those people, and we can start making contact with them and building up that side of things. Now, having looked at your profile today, some things I would say on there is that you say it doesn't really draw people in to understand the problem that you solve. So at the moment, only people who understand what scope 3 is going to go, oh, this could be a person that's relevant to my industry. And so they would connect with you, but they wouldn't know necessarily why they're connecting with you, except for you might share some good content at some point. This could be an interesting person. So you're not positioned as a thought leader at the moment. You're just somebody that's going to be good in their group. But you're only getting those people who know what scope 3 is. I had no idea. And I didn't know there was a scope 1 or 2 until lower down. And what's interesting is you say scope 3 within your name, within your headline, and also quite a few times down below, but still no idea what it is. And your background image talks about something at AI, which says that actually this is really high level AI stuff, but nowhere are you defining what that is in the profile. And actually that's the leading thing. Sustainability. It's a shame Robert's not here today, actually, because he does, I think I put you in touch with him before. Like, Robert does sustainability, but I don't think he's got AI in it. So it is about bringing it alive and saying, why is this the most interesting thing? And getting people to come on board, because if you've got the best AI for this out there, tell people, show people. And so we need to be really like defining that and filling that down, and then showing people how to get in touch. And if I'm really honest, if I may be really honest in this forum, your about section where you dictate how people should get in touch with you, you are not Lewis Howes or Richard Branson. You just wouldn't have it, because it's actually quite like, oh God, why would I get involved with you? Like, it can come across quite arrogant, especially as you've actually just stepped into this. It's okay that you've just stepped into this, and I would want to see in the about section that you qualify why you've just stepped into it. You make it okay that you don't actually know it all, because actually you're sitting behind these directors with this wonderful product. And actually what can happen is people will really get behind you because they want to champion your career and help you build it up. So it's not to downplay yourself at all, but it's to say, hey, look, I am leading with a big why here, like a why statement, in the Simon Sinek's world. I'm leading with this why, and I'm really driven and passionate about it. And I've taken, and I wouldn't say I've taken a career change or I've just come into it, because that's just too straight. If people need to figure it out, they'll figure it out. But when you've got a big enough why, people don't notice that you've only been in it for 2 years. And the fact that you've got a big company behind you as well, then that takes care of that altogether. So yeah, I would just say, though, that would be my straight up advice to you on that one. Is that okay?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for that.
Cool. Excellent. Steve, tell us your question.
Naomi, can I just interrupt a bit, Naomi?
I don't have the big view up to see when other people are putting their hands up, like I said. Yeah, sorry. Obviously, June, you've got something you want to say there.
Just to say the Tatar only works for a split second and then it goes off screen, so you won't know when people have done that.
Thank you for telling me.
Because I did a little Tatar.
And also, because I really wanted to see the person, I changed my view, so I wouldn't have seen it anyway, because I couldn't see everyone. What did you want to say, June?
Well, I was just going to say, I used to work in university. I was dean of the business school, and I couldn't get some of my crusty old academics who were absolutely amazing at what they did, as some of the best people in military history, for example, to do anything on LinkedIn or social media, but they were prepared to write blogs. And so one of the things I did as one of the first steps to get them more involved was to just get them to write the blogs and then refer to it in as many social media things as we could do. And they slowly but surely saw the benefit of it and started to put a bit more on their LinkedIn. So I shared it, I gave them credit. If they had a LinkedIn profile, obviously gave them credit for it as well. And slowly but surely they started to realise it was quite an important medium for them to use, to profess what they did. And if I can change professors, you'll be able to change your directors. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you for that, June.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, getting them to blog, get them to the old school stuff that they understand a bit better. Yeah. Louise, your opinion?
Yeah, we've had a similar problem in my heating company. That the key technical people don't perceive themselves to be marketing people, and they don't understand that. I think we have a complacency in our company, and it might be similar in your world, Tim, that the amazing work that we do in renewable heating, they take it for granted. We win awards every year and it's all this stuff, but it all just rolls along and it's just us, it's just what we do. But getting it out there in our marketing, getting out there, we've had but we're gradually breaking through it. We're gradually getting some momentum on it, but it's taken a long time, and I've been kind of trying to tackle it for years. And my marketing person I employ within the company is gradually, we're breaking through it. I think it takes time to get momentum, but once they begin to see it, and then and that making connections, like all of the different architects or developers or different people they deal with, we've almost got a little competition going between the technical team, which is about 3 guys that we need to be interactive on LinkedIn, and the marketing person kind of steering them is gradually happening. But it takes a while, and they do need to kind of engage, and they need to look at what happens once they start to engage, and hopefully some successes and more contacts that they can see kind of happen. That's what's happening. We are gradually kind of getting some traction after quite a long time of me behind the scenes trying to push them that way.
Yeah, great. Cool. Thank you, Louise, for your perspective on that. It's wonderful. Okay, cool. Let's go to Steve.
Well, I try not to break down too much, but mine's just a bit unstable. One of the things I'm trying to do is establish a bottom-up network within the overriding field of fundraising. The idea is that people come together, they have their own area of expertise. So it's kind of often something that's got much more expertise within a very crowded market, and people focus on expertise when it's needed. Now, the problem with LinkedIn is I tried to set up a LinkedIn page for the network, and it comes up with a saying fundraising has sent a message. So should I be doing an approach where the members should be kind of referring to it in their own profiles and give up trying to do like the joint profile?
Okay, so what you're saying is that when you try and post a message from the company profile, it's saying that it's posted from the company, whereas you want it to be posted from you.
Well, say for example, LinkedIn treats the company like an individual person. So if I post something, Steve made a post today. If I do it through the network one, it says fundraising made a post today.
Yeah, okay.
Which
cool.
is a bit off-putting.
All right, I'm going to defer to John in a minute for that one, for his opinion on that. But just on that, I would just... No, it's a bit different for you, actually. And someone actually did ask this question as well, so I'm just going to cover this quickly. The difference between business pages and personal pages. People connect with people, and they want a relationship with people, not with businesses. So I would suggest posting on your company page just enough to make it look like it's really active. It's active, and the company's therefore active. And make sure the about description has that call to action and an overview of what you do, so it's taken care of. But really, you want to be focusing on your content, who you're connecting with, who you're sharing with. I can't remember who asked me that question, but that would be the general thing. But it does sound like you've got a slightly different use and take on that, Steve. So I'd love to hear from John, actually. So let's hear John. John, what do you think is the answer to...
what I encourage my members to do, Naomi, is, I have multiple business pages, for example, and I will do a personal post, and if it relates to that specific business, then I will have a link in the comments to the business page, so that people can see where I want to. I'm sort of directing them to where they want to go next.
I think one of the things about the network,
Okay.
it's that my bit on the network is very, very niche and has kind of a very, very narrow appeal, whereas like the whole collective network has a broader appeal, but there's a lot of expertise in the network that I haven't got. But, so that's where the problem's coming from.
I probably am not totally understanding, but that's just due to my.
Let me
my
just
issues.
share my screen. I think what you're saying, John, is that if you come in here and post, it's going to have the logo there of the and so the company said it. Whereas if you did it on your profile, it would say that you said it. Is that correct? Your challenges?
Yeah, the interaction with business pages is just a fraction of what it is. In fact, I encourage people, if they're going to do anything on business pages, maybe 5%, maybe 10%, and then 90 to 95% from their personal page.
Yeah.
But to direct people to their personal pages, or their business pages rather.
So if you look at my company page, you'll see that I posted last week, and it doesn't, like, you have to click again to see more, which I think is makes it more difficult for things. So you can see on here, this is how you would see it. Okay, it's not going to work out very well. When you share on here, it's going to have, oh my gosh, it's so stuck. It's because I haven't got strong internet, or the computer's, I think. When you share from here, you get these options. And I think one of those, it says, who do you want to share as? Oh, I just shared that, whoops. And then, so you can do, Steve, is you can share it from the page as yourself. And then you can also say, actually, you can select, say, you want the company to be the one to share it. When you post on the company page, it's the company posting, but you can then go and share it as yourself. So that might be a solution for you. Now with the company page, I would just make sure the about section is taken care of. So it looks like you've definitely been here and what you're up to. Then you want to make sure that you're sharing content probably once every week or 2 weeks, depending on how much, that you are there for, that there's something going on. So it doesn't look like you're out of date and you're not operating anymore. But just as John said there, like they don't get much traction. It's really not worth the time. You just need it there to look like a good business front, in all honesty. And then everything comes down to your personal profile from there. If you're looking for people to interact in this community and they're really up for interacting, then you might want to go down the route of doing a group. The groups, and then I say you need to know that people are ready to interact, they want to interact, because it's going to take something to get it off the ground. It might be that you choose a different community, like the Circle platform, for example, and try and have a community there instead, because groups are notoriously difficult to run as well and are quite ineffective. So yeah, I would. And also, if there are all those people that you're not connected to, but something else is, then make it your mission to connect with those people. Does that help?
I think the other kind of issue is, from what I understand, the business page is a kind of subsection of your personal page, whereas on the network one, it'd be a subsection of several people's personal pages.
It wouldn't be, let's not call it a subsection, because now we're just going to get confused. So what you've got, you see this, you saw that employee bit there. I just clicked away, but what it will do is your company page, for everybody who adds it to their profile, they will now be an employee of the company. So you'd end up with like 30 employees, and those 30 people would have it on their profile, and they'd have it here. So that's where you're calling it a subsection, but actually it's just their experience entry. And some people might choose not to have it there because it's not their experience, it's not part of their agenda and what they want to be known for. So they're not going to be willing to have it in their experience. And they might need a job position in order to put it there. So in order for that, your logo to appear there, and then obviously that then clicks through to the company page, they are going to need a job role title to go with it, a reason for why it's part of their career history, a reason why they're featuring it, and And so those are just things to consider in that respect.
I think I'm getting there, but it's going to take a while.
I would imagine that you're probably, I think I understand what you're trying to achieve, but I think probably it's not a company page solution that you need. I would think it's something else.
I think more like, say, for example, more like a partnership. We've got two individual people just coming together, but sharing something they want to promote.
Yeah, then they would both be on a company page together. But if it's
And
not actually a company,
you can always make them admins of the company page.
Yeah.
So then that way that we can exclude ourselves as individuals and the share with particular company that will solve the problem.
Hope so, yeah. Darren, you've got something to say?
Yeah, just listening in, Steve. Do you actually have a company page, or is it just two profiles, one with the company name and one with your own name?
They're two separate LinkedIn pages, profiles, whatever. They're not linked. They're not one part of another. They're two completely separate.
So you sign out of one and then sign into the other, do you?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking, that actually we're answering the wrong question, because actually what we've got is two separate profiles. One is Steve's and one is the company.
Yeah, and the other one is Fundraising Strategies Network, which has got its own profile.
Yeah. So it's not, I think you're going down the wrong route there and answering the wrong question, because actually what you've got there would actually suit better to close down the profile and actually have a company page that you both can share.
Right.
And the company page would actually be a better solution, because what you've got at the moment is two separate profiles, and that's not the way LinkedIn wants you to run. LinkedIn wants you to create a LinkedIn page for your company, and then you can associate things like the experience and stuff like that, and then you can both have admin access to that page. So you would sign on with your login ID, and that would then allow you to post into the page, or it will allow you to post about the page, and you can then go into the page and write for your own separate post, and the other person could write their own separate post and again share that page as their post. So it would actually be a different solution that you need.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And also with that, if you were to build up that personal profile with that name on it, and it's not actually a person's name, and it's not, LinkedIn can see it's not a person, they could come and shut that down at any point with no notice whatsoever, and you'd lose all of your hard work. So you definitely, and just looking at your profile, you've got nothing written here about what it is that you're doing. What you'd have then with this other organization you're talking about, you'd have another entry in there which would explain what it was, and then that would be a company page. You both have that on your company page, on your experiences, and you can both share from it, and it would do exactly as Darren just said. But I would be saying there's a lot you're missing out the opportunity of doing on here, and a bit of color in the background too.
That's why I haven't booked a review yet. So I need to do a lot more work before I get to that stage.
Maybe, but sometimes you just need the strategy and the direction before you get to that point. So, it's not a case of do it perfectly, because I'll probably just say, oh, you're going down the wrong path. Okay, cool. Thank you for that, Steve. Hopefully we've helped you. Brenda, you've got your hand up with a nice view of Brighton behind you, in case anyone's wondering where that is. I asked earlier. Brenda, you're on mute, so you'll need to...
Thanks. Do you want to stop sharing as well?
I might do.
So
just so you know, on that, if the screen is really big and therefore it's small, if you run your cursor over, you can actually move the size of the screen and have everybody.
Okay, I'll do that in a second. I've actually got a couple of things. I'll start with a small one, which you probably can answer quite quickly, or someone can. I changed to creator mode a few weeks ago because I was told that was a good idea. It slightly bothers me because when I see other people, like I just went to look at John Keel's profile to connect with him, the option that LinkedIn give you is follow, not connect. And so I'm only now allowing people who might want to connect with me to follow me. Well, they can if they click on more, but it's like another few steps that people don't do that. So I don't know if there's any benefit or disbenefit from that. That was one thing. And then the other thing I have is
one question at a time.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. John, answer you got your hand up.
Brenda, what many people don't know is that the 3 dots out to the right, when you hit the drop down, there is an option to connect.
Yeah, no, I know that from finding, but what I'm thinking is most other people don't know that. So is there a disbenefit from them not connecting rather than following me?
Over time, they will connect, and if they're commenting on your post, and so I would certainly reach out to them and say, or you make the connection request.
Do you know, do you get, because I don't get told when people start following me, only connecting.
No, you don't get a notice on that.
So then you don't know there. That's what bothers me a bit.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I took the creator profile off for a while because I just wasn't getting anyone connecting with me anymore. And I think it's getting into the habit of going and checking those followers and then sending that following message. But it is almost disheartening because you don't see it. You don't see, like, it's just lovely. You come in and you've got like 5-6 connection messages every day, and now you don't have that. So I find it a toss up between the two. Like,
And Naomi, just a comment, the direction LinkedIn is moving with all the new features. I mean, there are new features within the last 2 weeks that you will only have access to those new features if you're in creator mode.
Okay.
And in fact, Naomi, if I can just interject, if you go to my profile, you'll notice there's a hyperlink up at the top that says schedule a call. That's brand new.
Yeah, that is brand new. Yeah.
It's brand new, but you have to be in creator mode to have that. So in terms of a call to action, that's the perfect place to put it.
Everyone's seeing my profile, aren't they? Everyone's seeing my share screen? Oh. Was it showing earlier? Because, hold on. Yeah, it was, because you asked me to remove it, didn't you? Yeah. So this is what's brand new here, is if you like schedule a chat. If you've got a scorecard or anything like that, that's good to put there as well. Just because I know the next thing is how do you put it there? When you go into editing your contact information, you've got your normal 3 entries for your 3 websites. Go right down to the bottom of that section, and at the bottom it's got the featured link, website there, and you would add it in, and that is a great one to have. So actually, just before we come to Brenda's next question, John, would you just tell us really quickly what some of the new features are coming out that we can expect, or what might have come out in the last sort of couple of months?
Well, see the bell underneath where the arrow is in my graphic. When you click the bell, you see that in somebody's profile. If you click that bell, you will see every one of their posts. It'll show in your notifications section. So if there's certain particular people you want to follow or see what they're saying, so you can comment on their posts. If they have creator mode, that's a great thing. That's about 2 months old.
Mm-hmm. Great. What else? Anything else?
Another one is on business pages, and this is just being rolled out right now. They're going to be adding on company or business pages the ability to have an opt-in form, a lead gen form.
All right.
That's really, really, really cool, I think. Let me just say, hashtags, no more than 3 to 5 in your posts, period. You'll be penalized if it's more than 5. Let's see what else. I've just got some other ones. I'm going into a lot of the detail on this in my upcoming training. I'll spend some time on each one of these.
There's nothing new on the profile to notice there.
No. Although on commenting, there's a new thing I just found out about yesterday. When somebody comments on you as an at mention at Naomi Johnson, that will show in your notifications section, and it will also give you the ability then there'll be a little button up the upper right of the comment where you can immediately share that.
That's there.
Share that with comments, immediately share it, which is, I think, kind of cool.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you. Brenda, what was your second question?
Oh, I feel a bit cheeky asking you. It's probably too long, but maybe I'll come back to another lunchtime one if it is. But it's about finding your clients, because I got taught on another LinkedIn training 6 months ago when I first sort of started trying to use it. Oh, you know, there's a search function. You use the search bar and put in words. Well, if my words would be like people that work in the charity sector, managers, etc., and like that, people don't use that. They don't write charity worker or, you know, third sector worker. So it's like really hard to find them through searching. And when LinkedIn puts up, you know, those lists of connections, it's either geographically near me, people who do the same job as me, which is other coaches who I don't want to necessarily connect with, or people that I went to university or school with, and they're again not necessarily people. So I'm finding it quite hard doing that. I've been finding them, but it's not easy. Am I missing a trick?
I think probably you're missing a trick in the words that you're using, because yeah, you can use those words to define them, but like you said, nobody defines themselves with those words. So I would be drilling down and finding what their job titles are, and then also thinking about companies and company types. Like there are other options in the search to go and have a go and see. Yeah, I would just try different words, because that would naturally, like, nobody puts third sector or charity worker in, but they do put other things in. So yeah, I think.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, and Timlos, you've got something else to ask?
Yes, I do, and it was kind of on the side of why is my brain gone dead all of a sudden? It was on the side of the question by, have I moved it down the screen? Let's have a look. When we're talking about different profiles and about how to do it, I've got a photography business that I'm trying to relaunch, and obviously I don't want to confuse it with the work that I do now. And I'm in that dilemma of what's the best solution, because there are lots of people here with multiple businesses running at the same time. What's the best solution to make sure that I can promote my photography business as well as promoting the CO2 stuff that I do without blowing LinkedIn? I don't want to lose my LinkedIn profile, so I'm not going to do a separate profile.
Yeah.
But what's the best way to kind of get that balance right?
Yeah, sure. So let's just open up your profile. If you want to do the balance, the first thing I say is like in the name, take the Scope 3 team off, because firstly, that's not where it's supposed to go. LinkedIn doesn't like it, and it does start to kind of position you into just the one. You might want to choose one of your own photos to go on the back with so it goes with the AI, and then you could put photo credit and put your name. So people go, oh, that's a nice photo, and he took it himself. You've definitely got a Facebook picture going on here, so I would get that taken care of. And then when you come down, what you're going to look here is making something more of this. So because it only shows you 2 lines at any one time, and you can get these extra bits of media on, I would put media in there so that it brings more life to the profile, it brings more life to that section, and it also will demonstrate the kind of photography that you do. And then inside of here, I would use about this. Yeah, I would use this much space to say what it is you're doing, but I'm not seeing here as any, I'm just really scanning it as any credential stuff. Like, I've been doing this for 18 years as a full-time, you know, because actually a lot of people come into it as a hobby business. So I think that 18 years is your credentials, and also you're a lecturer. So I would mention lecturer in here. I'd mention 18 years, and really let it be known this is what you still do and who you still do it for, and have those examples in there. Then the other thing as well is that when you do come to here, and you're talking, what we're going to get you doing is talking about the side of things, you would also then have a paragraph or 2 that says about your photography and how you balance the 2 together. Like, sustainability is such an emotive big why. It makes sense that you've gone and wanting to do this and to throw everything into it, but you've still got a passion for photography, and so you still want to do that. Both of those things make absolute sense. So it's just about marrying the 2 things together up there. And as we are here, what I would also do is take personal assistant off, because it's quite a lowly position. and you don't
Yeah.
need to say it, and it's distracting, and it kind of it does start to say, hang on, this person started a new career in a new industry. I would just put Feb 2020 as marketing manager and go straight through.
And just do it straight through, yeah. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. If authenticity is a really big deal, then you might say I started off as a personal assistant and within this amount of time got promoted to marketing manager because you had natural strengths. And that can help with the authenticity if you had a problem saying, hey, but you're not saying I'm great as a marketing manager for 10 years, come hire me. You're not. You're leading with a massive why. So it doesn't matter. Okay, cool. So we've not got much time at all left, actually. Michael, do you have one last question to ask? You are muted. Michael, you're muted. He's not hearing me. You're muted, Michael. Okay, I'm just going to announce that John is doing a masterclass on the 15th of July. And he's
actually, it's my 15th.
Oh, your 15th monthly LinkedIn class. Okay, and then he's put the link for his event in the chat box there if you want to click on it. And Michael's still talking. It's time to know if he's talking to us or someone else. But yes, his workshops are wonderful. He tells you all the latest things that are coming up. And these are all things that they, as a group, are testing and working out what's working, what's not working, because it is a bit of a mystery. I don't think that a LinkedIn engineer really knows. So it's testing it and working out and seeing what's actually happening. And the question that you asked, Gail, is, I think you just clicked about the bell. How do you activate the bell on the profile, rather? It's to put creator mode on. So creator mode, you know you've got it on because you're going to have the opportunity to put these hashtags on. You have that when you scroll down, you see the around this bit. If this was my profile, you'd see it here, and you'd be able to click on the features for your profile, and it says put creator mode on or not. Michael, are you with us?
No, Naomi, you're not sharing. Sorry, when you're saying that, there's no one can see it. That's all. Sorry, just in case.
Thank you. Does anyone need me to share it?
I know what it is, but yeah, I won't show anyone else.
Yeah, just on your profile when you're logged into your own, at a certain point down there, you'll see the features that you can switch on. And that will switch on the ability to put the creator mode on and get your bell. Michael, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
You are. I said I didn't know if you were like going off into your question, but we couldn't hear a word you were saying. So was it?
Well, I was on mute. No, sorry, I had a phone call then.
You were on the phone. Good. I just thought you were talking to us, and we were like, hello.
I hope you didn't hear it because I hope I was on mute.
No, you didn't. No.
Brilliant. No, I was just wanted to ask. I'm loving some of the things I'm hearing at the moment, but can I just sort of flag my question again? We've had an answer for what's happened over the last 3 months or something, and I've learned a couple of things from that. But would it be possible to go back a little more, let's say the last year or 18 months, of what things have happened that we should be aware of? And one, for example, I noticed, there's a little loudspeaker next to our name now, which I suppose we can leave a hi, I'm so and so on it, but how should we be using that? And
so this would be I think Tim, you've got it, haven't you, on yours? So the loudspeaker,
Tim Loss Herringshaw.
Actually, just Tim, on your feedback there, just a bit of feedback. When you've got on Zoom and you put Tim Loss without a space, I thought your name was Tim Loss, but it's just Tim. And you use space in there.
What are you doing hiding here rather than taking responsibility? I know it's getting hot, I know the world's getting warm, but there's no point hiding in the fridge. You might as well go and take responsibility and get on with it. So if you want some help looking at your sustainability, looking at ways of reducing your impact, maybe save some money at the same time, give me a shout. Otherwise, I'll just leave you in here. Cheers. Bye.
That's a good idea.
That's a great cover story video.
It was.
It was literally a crazy idea in the fridge. I went, I'll just try it. What the hell? But yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that when I was listening to it, the responsibility thing was chiming way harder and longer. And I was like, responsibility for what? And then sustainability was at the end. I think responsibility with sustainability needs to be married together, because I was like, oh, okay, what? And I didn't know what the conversation was until the end of sustainability. But that is creative. You're not just doing this straight up, hi, my name is. Michael, you're going to be brilliant at this because obviously you're a presentation specialist. So there's something that's probably the great demonstration of how to use it. I do believe that the only way to film that is on your phone, not from the desktop. So there's that. You've got this creator mode that's coming. That was within a year now. Have you seen that, Michael?
No.
Okay. So this creator mode, we are really out of time, but this creator mode allows you to have hashtags, and these hashtags allow you to join these conversations. One thing I'm just going to say on this, because you want to make sure you're in with hashtags that are either unique and specific to your industry and something you're building up. Like the expert entrepreneur isn't like massively followed, but I want to build it up, and if it's used, I want to be seen for it. And you want to make sure there's good following. So if I were just to search that now, like just press return on it, I would see everything that's come up for this tag. But when I actually click it from the drop down, I'm going to see it slightly different. And it will actually tell you the number of people that are following it. So 773 followers. So this is a good enough one, I would say. And obviously Jaguar is using it, so that's good. And then you can come in here and find content to comment on and people to like and follow based on what they're using as hashtags. So if you are looking for new conversations to get involved in, to expand your network, start looking at those hashtags and put those hashtags that are relevant to you on your profile as well. But we are out of time.